Is Texas an option for overlanders? 2 weeks ago, my brother and I proved it was possible on the Hill Country Tour. 147 miles over 2 days, traversed through the Texas Hill Country, and a night spent at one of my favorite campsites to date. So it begs the question, what else does Texas got? Well, let me tell you about the Texas Traverse. It can be found on the onX Off-Road app. The Texas Traverse is broken into multiple sections, ranging from about 150 miles to 380 in length. Starting with part 1, carrying you through the East Texas Pines from Louisiana to Huntsville. The second leg will then guide you northwest and leave you in Cleburne, 40 minutes south of Fort Worth. Now, for the third section, you gotta fill in the gaps some using onX Off-Road and Gaia GPS. If you follow the Chisholm Trail byway south to Burnett, then hop over to the Hill Country Tour, utilizing the extension to Junction, Texas, you'll find yourself at the start of the fourth and final leg that leads you west to Rock Springs and puts you a short ways from the Devil's River and 4 hours from Big Bend National Park. Collectively, that's a route over 1,100 miles in length, cutting through the back roads of Texas. By description, it's an overland route with many miles for adventure, suited for the expeditious as well as the weekend explorer. But the question still lurks. In a state nearly completely blanketed in private land, is an overland expedition in Texas possible, or even worth embarking on? The Hill Country Tour left me believing it was. So I left north out of Burnett to trace the third, second, and first sections of this route backward on my way east to the Louisiana border. This is the Texas Traverse. Route and hit record. And just like that, we are on the Texas Traverse. So I couldn't find a whole lot about this route on the internet, but it is displayed as the longest off-road route on onX Off-Road. So that's where I found it. That's where I got the idea from. And for the next however many days it takes, we're just gonna be following the track on onX, recording it on Gaia, and seeing what we can find. Get to exploring. Following smoothly paved county roads, the Chisholm Trail brings you through Lampasas shortly after departing from Burnett. Their high school football teams would tell you differently, but there are more similarities between the two towns than differences. You can get pretty much anything you need in either of the two places, but as you travel north, there won't be much between Lampasas and Cleburne. All right, what if I have a Whataburger? It's been so long. I'm going to thoroughly enjoy this abomination. Back on the Texas Traverse. Shortly out of town, you'll find the blissful sound of dirt beneath your tires. But most of these stretches are on access easements, and it's not legal to leave your vehicle. We'll pass through national forest land later, but in this part of Texas, if there aren't any fence lines on either side of the road, just pass on through. So, I don't know the name of this creek off the top of my head. It's definitely got too much water going over the creek crossing to safely cross. So, it doesn't even seem like it's that deep, but it's moving really fast and it's probably like right at my axles. But the prize you get for misjudging it and, you know, drifting downstream a little bit is falling off the edge of the culvert. I think the risk to reward is a little off there. So I'm gonna find an alternative route, just like the Jeeps did in front of me. You can tell by the other side of that crossing that nobody's driven across it in quite some time. And it looks super soft on the other side, so getting up that other side, I'd definitely get stuck and have to dig my way out. I am out here by myself, so I gotta be making good decisions. At another crossing of the same creek, it was evident through the flood debris that not long ago, the water had been about 20 feet higher. What do we have here? Holy cow. Yeah, I'm not gonna make it across that. Gotta find another way. Just outside of Hamilton. Yeah, I'm gonna have to hop on Highway 22. County Road 301 crosses Pecan Creek. Totally washed out. It's not too bad here. Could definitely drive that.
Got this deep hole here, but there's just no way with that fence there and the trees. I could make it up over here, but there's no way for me to get down that side. I need this exit to be on this side, or this entry to be on this side. All right, second turnaround of the day.
Jesse Chisholm would be the man this trail is named after, or rather, the cattle trail that it memorializes. In the days of the cattle drive, a route was established to allow for ranchers to move their herds from their ranches to the Kansas Pacific Railway, where they could be shipped across the country and sold at a 900% profit. The main trail ran from the Red River Station near the Oklahoma state line and went north to the Abilene, Kansas railhead. This portion of the Texas Traverse shadows one of the many splinters the trail takes as it spreads access across much of Texas.
Still on the Chisholm Trail highway. I can see some of the campsites that I marked down for tonight on Gaia, but they are quite a ways away. It is almost 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and it is 94 degrees outside. It is so hot. Being late May, 8:30 is sunset tonight. So I've still got, 3.5 hours. I'm not sure if I'm gonna make it to camp before dark, but it's definitely gonna be a late dinner. We'll see what happens. Might just end up driving through the night.
As I ventured out from the Texas I was familiar with, north of the Leon River, and headed for the Brazos, I began to feel that I was wandering truly into the middle of nowhere. Driving through such flat country with ranch lands on either side, funneling you down the trail, can become disorienting. As I approached the south bank of the Brazos River, a set of large storm clouds towered out of the horizon, and I wondered if they held any foreshadowing for the future of my trip. There's no doubt that both the river and the storm would have weighed heavily on the minds of the cattle drivers 200 years earlier.
Whoa. Road is way washed out. I tried stopping at a campsite along the Brazos that had about 30 open campsites, but no way to access them. I guess they want you to reserve online, but they've got so many open that it doesn't make sense to not let people reserve them in person. They had a overnight honesty box with instructions for campers, but there's a locked gate at the campground. There's no way to get in. It was not something I would usually stay at. It is like a very manicured county park. I was really looking forward to fishing and cooking dinner in the daylight and watching the sun go down on the Brazos. That's at least not going to happen at that campsite. There were a couple other potential campsites that would have required driving off of the route that I might try. kind of waiting to see what's up here by Cleburne. There's this little lake on the outskirts that I'm hoping might have something. Spent $5 just to find out I couldn't camp at that park. That's why I hate going to places like that. But that's what you got to do in Texas, because there's hardly any public land. I guess I'm just gonna drive into the night and see what happens.
It's probably a good time to explain that there are plenty of well-manicured camping locations in Texas and in this area that you can pay for. I prefer the challenge of finding free, dispersed camping tucked away where most people wouldn't go. Because of this, I end up screwing myself over. Had I planned out a reservation and booked in advance, I would have had the tent popped by now. But for me, that's called exploring and part of the adventure. If you're the same way, this part of Texas is going to be a challenge.
We made it to Cleburne and the end of the Chisholm Trail byway. The second leg of the Texas Traverse is just down the road. And so, plan on connecting to two, right? Well, looking for a campsite. I don't want to skip any portions of the trail. I've determined that 2 of the 3 campsites that I had marked down are no longer possibilities. I can't stealth camp. It's very obvious when I'm camping. All right, well, pulled up to a little boat ramp on the side of the reservoir here in Cleburne. Pretty surprised there's no camping signs, but I'm going to take advantage of that and spend the night here. That way I don't have to skip any portion of the trail in order to get to a campsite tonight. Pretty close to where the Texas Traverse picks up. Probably get up early. I'm not going to show this campsite off due to it kind of being somewhat of a stealth camp. Even though I'm going to have the tent popped up and everything. I'm just hoping I don't get run off in the middle of the night. But if I do, that's how it goes. If I do, I guess my plan will be head for the start point on the Texas Traverse, head to where it picks up, pull off on the side of the road, and sleep in the truck. So, good night. Last night was something. I don't think we're going to talk about last night. I've never watched an Overland video that started out sleeping in the driver's seat of your truck on the side of the road because you got woken up by cops in the middle of the night. So it seems like it's a pretty rocky start, but that's how it goes. Maybe it'll turn around. It's gonna be a 600 milligram kind of day of caffeine. So we're gonna head out real soon. Traversing Texas. It's not raining just yet, but Texas is doing its thing that it does in the summer, where if it's gonna rain, it's gonna be a massive thunderstorm. And the wind just picked up like crazy, and this huge cloud front came in. I'm looking at my weather app, and I'm in a what kind of risk? Severe thunderstorm watch. Oh yeah. Very windy. It's probably gonna rain a lot, but it'll probably move really quick.
Turning to the southeast on day 2, the ranch lands gave way to farm fields, and with that, softer soil.
Man, it is a downpour out there. Just a total soaking. So the storm caught up with me. Luckily enough, it was at the gas station. None of the forecast is saying that there's any hail. Just wind and rain, no tornadoes. So I'm gonna keep pushing. Sure it'll pass me by. Not the first person to go around it though. Oh. A little tough getting out of there, but yeah, I don't want to go around it. Working on getting myself into trouble here. I'm gonna go ahead and put the truck in 4 low. It's taking me onto this section of road that's just super slick and muddy, so doing 4 low. I'm gonna do the locker too, because why not? I tried to make this left-hand turn and I almost went off the road, and it is really flowing. Basically on both sides of the road. If I end up on either side of the road, I am screwed. The truck is just getting covered. Trying to keep momentum but stay at a low enough speed that I don't slide off the road. Well, I just did exactly what I didn't want to do, which was slide off the road into the ditch. So I'm probably stuck. Come on. Come on. Come on. There we go. Get out of there. Sideways. There we go. All right, real slow. Wouldn't recommend going that way. Come on. Come on. Still super windy. Oh man. Pretty coated. You looked like you were going this way. There you go.
Maybe it was the excitement from the morning storm, or the lack of sleep from the night before, that made this section a bit rough. But aside from the occasional muddy ruts, when the trail departed the farm fields, vegetation closed in on the road, and the afternoon droned on a bit. I found myself looking forward to the approaching pines of East Texas and the sparse national forest lands that hide there.
Well, long day of driving all the way to the Sam Houston National Forest area. Just the area I was trying to get to. When I set out this morning, you know, you get what you get with Texas, and it's a public land situation. I am on public land. The road is, in fact, roped off, but I'm not behind the roped off area, so for now, this is camp for the night. Hopefully I have better luck tomorrow. I plan on camping probably on the Sam Rayburn Reservoir tomorrow evening, and then probably camping another night on the west side of Toledo Bend. Both of those lakes are kind of surrounded by national forests. Definitely in East Texas now. The trees got taller. Starting to see a lot more pines. I think I prefer it that way. All right. It is morning of day 3. Thankfully, I can say I got a full night's sleep last night. Looking at the map today, compared to how much distance I covered yesterday, which was just over 300 miles, today's gonna be a lot chiller, and I'm getting a lot later start today. It's 8:38 as opposed to yesterday. I think I was rolling by 7. So but I think it's gonna be all right, because like I said, a lot less distance to cover today to make it to the east side of Sam Rayburn Reservoir. Gonna be passing over Lake Livingston today at some point. Probably gonna stop and fish there for at least a little bit. I'm not planning on camping there, so I do want to make it to Sam Rayburn at a decent time so that I can actually set up camp, have a real dinner, cook for myself, and fish, maybe swim. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, so I'm just north of Lake Livingston. Just hit a closed gate on this county road. And there's not, from what I can tell, a convenient bypass. So I'm gonna have to backtrack to the highway, and potentially I could be having to skip a large section of this. But it looks like there are some county roads that parallel the route. They're not as direct, so they will take more time to cover, but looks like I'm going to be able to recover it somewhat. Well, my plan to link back up with the Texas Traverse did not go as planned. It looks like I'm gonna miss a decent portion of the route that goes up into the Davy Crockett National Forest. Probably like 20 miles. So I think I'm going to abandon that section and head back to the highway to get back on the route where it heads off to Sam Rayburn. Anything past knee height Not doing it. Nope. I'm gonna get stuck here. Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna get stuck and high center on the skid plate, just like South Carolina. So, the end of the third day in the Angelina National Forest, and I came across this spot that I actually had marked down on Gaia as a campsite, and I didn't even realize that I was coming up to it, but it's pretty awesome. It's a campsite right on this like private pond. Private in the sense that nobody else is here. Like, it's totally public, but I'm the only one here. It's only 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Usually I never make it to camp this early, but I think I'm gonna stay. If I leave at like a decent time in the morning, that I'll still be able to like complete the entirety of what's left with just tomorrow, which is pretty much just like hop onto the other side of Sam Rayburn and then like cut across to Toledo Bend and then just follow Toledo Bend up. And I've got a campsite kind of on the north end of Toledo Bend Reservoir that's like, I think for sure a waterside campsite. So I'd still be able to camp on the lake tomorrow. It wouldn't be Sam Rayburn, but it'd be Toledo Bend, and I've never been to Toledo Bend before, so that would be cool. But yeah, I think with it being 4 o'clock in the afternoon, that gives me plenty of time to fish and cook like a real dinner and get in bed at like a good time. Like, I think I'm gonna stay here.
That evening, the clouds rolled in and it seemed like a little light rain might start up, so I crawled into the GFC a bit early for the night.
on day 4. I think today's the day that we reach Louisiana. So far it's been pretty fun. I think my favorite section still is the Chisholm Trail byway. I really enjoyed all the river crossings. I think aesthetically, East Texas is my favorite so far, just because I'm a big fan of pine trees, and this kind of reminds me of like North Carolina. Kind of flat, shrubbery with pine trees everywhere.
Firstly, you must find another shrubbery!
Now, I've been to Lake Sam Rayburn once before in a high school fishing tournament, and I thought back then what I'm reminded of now. These East Texas lakes are the closest thing to a bass fishing paradise that the state has to offer. Now, I haven't been to any of the big West Texas lakes yet, but if you're on this side of the state, I'm a bit jealous of the fishing you have here. Just my opinion. Nearing the end of the trail, on the last day of this trip, I came upon a monument with a story from the past. Set in a tiny, unassuming town deep in the piney woods alongside Toledo Bend. February 1st, 2003. Space Shuttle Columbia broke apart when re-entering the atmosphere due to a catastrophic misjudgment. That day in the mid-morning, the disaster rained down over the piney town of Hemp Hill. And for 2 months, the town was challenged in a way it never expected, as recovery teams poured in. The town's own volunteer fire department was of course first on the scene, and played a major part in the recovery, as did the whole town, in any way that they could. For the 7 astronauts lost, be strong and of good courage. Do not be afraid, nor be dismayed. For the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. Joshua chapter 1, verse 9. We are coming up on the Louisiana border. Only a couple miles now. You can see it coming up on Onyx. Looks like we're going to be crossing over into Logansport, Louisiana. Oh, I can see the bridge coming up real soon. Leaving Texas. Entering Louisiana and finishing this section of the Texas Traverse. Having just completed the whole eastern half of the Texas Traverse from Burnett, Texas to Louisiana, including the Chisholm Trail byway. And it was pretty cool. Really enjoyed
One, I think the Chisholm Trail byway was probably my favorite part, with all of its creek and river crossings and just like rolling through the hill country. And cruising through open farm fields near Waco was equally as cool, with thunderstorms bearing down. And of course East Texas with all of its pines and secluded ponds, massive lakes. It's always cool. But I am not quite done with Texas today. Going to a campsite that I had marked on Gaia and checked out earlier today on Toledo Bend Reservoir, about as close to the water as I can possibly get.
The Texas Traverse presented some challenges for me with finding campsites, but as I said, with a little bit of forward planning, you could definitely book yourself some great camps. And the 2 camps that I did find were more than perfect. Not to mention the phenomenal spot Cole and I found on the Hill Country Tour.
On the last night in Texas with beautiful Toledo Bend Reservoir right behind me, I couldn't get any closer to the water here. I'll pop the tent, have a beautiful view of the lake. Nice cool breeze coming off, filling the tent. I'm gonna sleep good tonight.
As for the drive, I do miss the freedom that you can find in many other states to be able to explore a little off the trail. However, if you're from Texas or nearby and have the itch for exploration, I hope you'll consider traveling on the Texas Traverse before reaching out to faraway states. I'm looking forward to exploring the far western deserts of Texas and the trail that leads there on the 4th leg of the Texas Traverse.